All right, welcome back to another series of our Outlook 2023 here at MacroMentors. Today we are talking to Kalista Salimova. Hello, Kalista. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Hope you're doing great as well.
So you are a fellow Tsinghua University graduate. Obviously, that's the best university in the world. So for the people that, don't know you yet, do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, guys. I'm Kalista. I'm originally from Russia, but from 2011, I've been living in China for 10 years and graduated there with master's and PhD in environmental engineering, in particular wastewater treatment. Before that, I was studying at Moscow State University, majoring in geography. After graduation, I worked in the investment fund for 2 years, and we've built, we had 3 investment fund under management. One is local Russian investment fund, another one is based in Boston, Cambridge in US. And just last year we started a new fund. We had a fundraising. It was a very good time for that. So we just opened a new investment fund. This year I left working in that fund, worked for a while as a CBDO in e-commerce startup. And now I just left my job to get back to my major because I think it's very important. So I'm starting my own company right now and doing consulting.
Congratulations, first of all. That's a big step.
Yeah, thank you. So now I'm working on the exporting Chinese equipment to Russian wastewater treatment factories or other factories, basically.
Wow, interesting. And this is obviously has been, a long journey. So, we just wrapped this up in a minute, but obviously there were a lot of, challenges, a lot of interesting things that happened over time. So first of all, why China, right? I'm pretty sure many people ask you that. What made you decide, I want to venture out. I want to see what, the other side of the world, to a certain extent at least, has to offer.
Yeah, I wanted to move to China from high school. Actually, we had a teacher in foreign literature at school, and she could speak Chinese. So that alone, I thought it's very impressive. And she introduced us some of Chinese literature. We were reading Confucius and Li Bai, and I really admired them. So I thought China is a very wise country. And I wanted to learn more about their culture and wisdom. So I wanted to become a Chinese language translator or study Chinese literature or something like that. But then, because I could not speak good English, I could not apply for university and to go for that major. So I applied for another major where they taught Chinese language, because I was studying geography and I had Chinese language class. That's why I applied.
Wow.
But later on, I found out that actually that studying geography is also very useful. And I was able to have language learning exchange with my university and decided to stay in China after this exchange program.
So since when are you in China then?
2010.
2010. Wow. So you pretty much went through a lot of exciting times. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see all the changes over these years.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Very interesting. And then you decided to join an investment fund. Was this also more on the kind of wastewater kind of investments, or or nothing to do with it, more venture kind of startups?
Yeah. If I say the truth, my career path is very uncertain and it's pretty complicated. For most of the people who had to move to another country due to COVID restrictions, so I was one of those people. I had to graduate in line from Russia, so I haven't been able to get back to China just yet. So I was searching for a job in my hometown. Right. But to find something related to wastewater treatment and get a good pay or a good experience, it's not that easy in my hometown or in other cities around. And I wanted to be closer to my parents. So first I applied for a position at university. the only positions I could get is to teach math or programming there, which is not related to wastewater treatment at all. And I
Doesn't
don't
sound
think
like
that
it, yeah.
I don't think that I'm very good at math anyway. And one of my classmates said, "Oh, we're working in a very fun team with all like young people, and everyone is so motivated. Just like come and try like yourself here, and just come for an interview." And this company was not only doing investment fund; it was a small company with 25 people. It's called Yellow Rockets. It's based in a very small town in Russia, Samara, and they're doing like different kind of things. They're doing consulting, they're doing like accelerators, they're arranging different events, and they have investment funds. I thought it's impossible. And they have some co-working spaces and organizing all those different trips for venture capital related, like investors and entrepreneurs. So I went there for an interview and they said, "Well, you look like you could build, like you belong here. So just select which division you like the most." So I decided to try investment. And I became an investment analyst at first, and I was analyzing all the deals and like doing screening and due diligence for environment related projects. And then I just like started studying more and had like I was analyzing environmental protection related projects, AI related, and compliance.
And it was a global mandate, like pretty much or this was more Russia focused on that time.
Well, it was focused on Russian speakers around the world.
Okay.
So there were many companies from US, from Singapore, different countries.
I see. Okay.
But we could also analyze and like deals from overseas as well. We even invested in one company that is located in Brazil. Like they're doing agri-fintech, and for graduates from MIT, because they had a pretty interesting startup there.
That's very interesting. And what do you think, like, what do you see as startup trends? Obviously, you probably got a very good understanding of the ecosystem on the environmental kind of startup side. What's going on? Like, what kind of interesting ideas are people coming up with to, obviously we talked before we started the recording a little bit about ESG and what kind of, little madness this is. So like, what did you see at the time?
I think for most startups at the moment, the current trend is like most startups are trying to cut the technological part and focus on on the revenue part, like making the revenues on sales, which is good. But I think that you should not completely cut off the technological development part. I understand that it requires some contribution in terms of finances and time, but I think this is a very important time in the world when you can focus on developing a new technology and just doing something different rather than making sales. Also, I think that the very popular thing right now is just to invest a lot in marketing, and most investors like people that invest a lot in marketing. But that Facebook and Instagram marketing that most people use right now does not bring a lot of revenue. Like that's what I see from analyzing some deals. Yeah, so I think this is not the best revenue stream. Like
and
this is not the best way to.
When you were in this investment due diligence, did you see that as well? That like there was like not so much of a focus on the investing in the deep technology side and the science side of it for the environmental projects as well?
Yeah, definitely. I could see like for environmental projects, it's a little bit different. It's very hard. Like, for example, in my country, it's very hard to get an investment for ESG related projects.
Okay.
And for
these are the birds in the background, just that we tell everyone these are,
yeah, it's
so that's fine.
They're in a different room, but they're very excited today. I didn't understand why.
Well, we are talking, so that's perfect. Okay, great.
Yeah. So I don't know how about other countries like US or Europe. I know that they invest a lot in environmental projects, in ESG in general, but due diligence for this kind of companies is pretty complicated because they're not first, it's very diverse, and complicated field. Like ESG, like contains basically most of the fields of study in the world. So how can
Brand,
you find
right?
an analyst who understands like about carbon emissions or water treatment or something else? You cannot find such people. So it's very hard to evaluate this kind of deals. So I think like in Russia, it's not very popular to invest in this kind of companies. And in China, it's just bringing attention right now. So what I noticed about the investment in not only in ESG, but in different fields, that, for example, in US, the venture capital was very hot, like about like 5 years ago or like 10 years ago. And then China was just developing the venture capital, and now China invested more in venture capital, and now like Chinese entrepreneurship is growing really fast, and soon it will go on decline, and then it come to other developing countries. And Russia is still in the stage of like developing the venture capital environment, so it's not like very developed in this field. So I think that in the next couple or 3 years, it will be a very good market to launch your startup, because it will be on the wave, like in 1 or 2 years, because it's developing actively right now.
And I'm glad you bring this up, because obviously everyone wants to ride a wave, right? So let's say I'm at university right now. What should I focus on? Let's say I have some startup ideas and I want to go exactly in this direction. Maybe some environmental kind of project or something else. Are there any kind of particular interesting trends that you see, even for 2023 already, that could kind of happen in the near future?
Yeah, I think that focusing on developing countries is really good. For example, Russia, because I'm Russian, so I can bring up Russia as an example. Because Russia was suffering from many like conflicts with other countries. It lost many of the giant companies from the market, like because of the sanctions and restrictions. Right. So most of the big companies have already left the market, and those companies making it not easy for young entrepreneurs to launch the company that is related to their field, like Microsoft. You cannot compete with Microsoft. You cannot compete with Google or SAP. Like they're too big. And now they left the market, and now we have like lots of gaps in the market. And it's a great opportunity for young entrepreneurs to come to this kind of market, because they have many gaps and they still have a niche to occupy.
And so, where are the gaps? Where's the vacuum that you are describing? Where have the old players left the stage? And which industries? Yeah. Anything in particular?
Yeah, there are like, for example, Coursera does not work in Russia anymore. So there's like edtech. There's some gaps in it. With IT technologies, there's some like startups related to apps for organizing business processes or time management to work like for the companies. Or what else? For the environment, like, let me think about it. I wrote a report actually about it last time.
Okay.
For
you can send it to me. We add them to the show notes. Okay, great.
Yeah, I just need to recall to those notes, and I would tell you exactly like where and what technologies exactly they need at this moment.
But very broadly, like does MacroMentors have a chance?
Broadly, mostly IT sector, because like Russia imported about like 86% of IT products from overseas. So like most of the companies left right now. For example, I cannot survive without Grammarly here right now. I would definitely like some analog, like, or Miro left the market as well. It's a very good tool. And many companies like that. Coursera.
It's very interesting. So all of these kind of like that were taken for granted, like the Miros of this world, the Grammarly of this world, they had all their presence in Russia, were used frequently. None of them exist right now, and the gap is not filled yet. That's pretty much what I hear.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly. We don't have this. We don't have this product anymore.
Okay, so where are the entrepreneurs?
So I think like markets like that are good. Huh?
Where are the entrepreneurs?
Well, that's why it's a good time now, like to actually develop some of your products of your own. So they're just developed. It requires some time, and it seems that the venture capital is on the decline. But for example, the fund where I work, they're actively investing money right now because it's a good time for an investment, for making investments. So for young companies, it's really good to apply for investment at this moment. So I can see how many different companies that want to replace the products that left the market, they're actively competing right now. But at least they get a chance because they're not big and they haven't established themselves yet. So there are no big companies that you should fight with. It's really good.
That's very
Same
interesting.
thing is in Latin America. Yeah.
And would you say that obviously you went to China? It's very interesting, and there's obviously like when you were there since 2010, there was a lot of opportunity. There's obviously still a lot of opportunity, but I guess in 2010 it was even better, right? Or there was more. At the time was a little bit different. So would you say that this actually now might be, or the same might apply now to Russia? So let's say I'm a young entrepreneur in the Western world. Is like Russia a place right now where we were talking about the vacuum that's in the market for many of these companies? Do you think that would be would be interesting to go, or would be an interesting opportunity?
I think yes, maybe not at this very moment because like it's pretty tense right now, but probably after after a year or so, I think that should be fine. And for China and for being a student, I think like while you're doing your degree at university, it's the best opportunity to start your own company because university has lots of resources and connections with other universities from other countries. So if you want to you want to launch an international startup and you want to like develop on a foreign market, it's very good to start from university because most of universities, they have their own accelerators, usually that help to launch a company, that help you to provide with mentors, with their connections with investors. They're helping you to fundraise and they help you to connect with other universities. So if you have a good product, like especially technological product that is unique, that you're developing, it's better to turn it into your company because it's a very good opportunity. I had this experience in China. In 2016, I started constructing those like small generators that look like, actually it's dehumidifiers. Do you know dehumidifiers?
Yes, of course.
Me and my team were just reconstructed those dehumidifiers and turned them into the devices for clean water extraction to drink. Because when you live in the dorm in Tsinghua, you have to like walk 15 minutes to get the bottle of water. So we used like the sensors and we started like treating water and applied for a local university accelerator, which is called XLab. They really liked the product. So they helped us to prepare a good presentation about it and to become a part of the program. And they let me to introduce this product in many different like competitions in China, introduce different accelerators as well, and even allowed me to participate in some international startup competitions. And I was able to go with my product to exchange with MIT and with University of Singapore and pitch it there to their investors as well.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And now you're obviously going. You started your company this year, right?
I'm starting it right now. It
awesome.
Hasn't been registered yet. We just have pre-orders.
Okay. What are the plans then for 2023?
Since I'm developing just in my country at the moment, I really hope that I can help like those factories that lost their companies to survive. That's the goal.
Yes.
So it's most about consulting and building the bridges between different countries. Because when it comes to exporting things from another country, there's lots of negotiations. And everyone, like all the countries have different mentalities and culture. And sometimes people are talking about exactly the same thing, but they do not understand it in the same way. So you can say something and the other part will not understand what you meant or just understand it in a different way. So here comes like the importance of good translators, because you should definitely like understand exactly what both of the parties need and what they're talking about, and just to build those negotiation bridges. So now I'm trying to build these bridges with Chinese suppliers.
Wow, that's very impressive. Anything else from your side where you think like we should, like in 2023, anything that we should pay attention to in terms of, all of, anything environmental related to water, anything interesting coming up that you have in mind?
Yes, definitely. I am not like talking much about the water right now, just because
Yes.
like for me this is like the thing that I'm trying, like even though like my path is pretty tricky and I'm going to my goals like this, not straight forward. I think everyone has their own life purpose and their own goals. Sometimes the way you achieve your goal is not obvious, and sometimes you have to do some different things not related to your focus. But the most important, I think, is not to lose your focus. And it doesn't matter what happens around. Like if you feel like you're a professional in this particular field, sooner or later you should go back to it and just preserve working on one thing, because now like the world is pretty diverse and you can distract to many different things, and that is ruining your career, I think, because it happened to me many times. For me, it's very hard to focus on one field. So what I'm trying to do with my career right now, I'm just trying to go back on track. And I think that is the most important thing to pay attention to in the coming years. Because
Focus
now
as
the
the
world is very
compounding asset.
distracting.
Yes. Yeah. So focus, really back to focus. And, like, would you say that like, this is just applies now, or would you also tell this your younger self, let's say 10-year younger self, to focus more? Or like, is there a period where you need to focus eventually, but in the beginning it's more trial and error and getting distracted?
I think before it was, the life was much easier. So I would definitely not recommend this before to my younger self, because like, yeah, trying different things is fun. Getting new experience, traveling around was simple and easy. And everything was very simple. But now the world is very competitive. It's tense. Like there are many different obstacles, and there are so many distractions too. Like many people panic. They're just in China, for example, or in Russia, or in many other countries. Nobody feels happy at this moment. It's very hard to keep like being positive, because the world is changing. Like nobody can deny that the world is changing, and the rules that applied like 10 years ago, they do not apply. The rules that applied like 5 years ago do not apply anymore. So to be able to adapt to the new environment, you should understand clearly who are you, like understand what are you made of, and what can you do and what you do your best, and focus on that field, and it will help you to establish yourself in a new environment.
How to adapt. I think that's absolutely beautiful and might be the most important skill, paired with focus, with a compounding focus, for sure. Kalista, if people want to know more about you, about your work, about, the consultancy, like how can they follow you apart from MacroMentors?
They can just follow me on LinkedIn. I always reply there, even though like the company is not allowed in my country at the moment, so I should always use VPN. So sometimes it's not that easy, but
Okay.
I do check.
All right.
I
Okay.
always reply on LinkedIn.
Okay. Perfect. Kalista, thank you so much.